exactly today, Mr. Langdon?
The Level Up Hour. So,
well, of course, yeah.
The premise behind the show is basically, we talk about kind of the usage of containers and kind of everyday usage, and why you might want to participate, and why you might want to be using containers all the time, and then kind of by extension. We also talk about like orchestration of those containers. Today, we're going to talk about actually application containers, which are
Nice.
kind of a unique beast. We've talked about them before, but I was running into some painful moments this past week on using certain applications, and so I built a container for it, and so I thought I'd bring it to the show as a way to round it out, because I thought it was interesting. But before we get started, this is the Level Up Hour. And let's see, should we do some teasers now or should we wait till later? Because we have some.
Let's wait till later.
Later.
Yeah.
So I'm Langdon with a 1 on Twitter, and Chris Short is Chris Short, all one word, on Twitter. You can find us there, or you can find us on our Discord, where we are here. And you can ask us all the things that you like there. And we have already had some kind of recent discussion about various successes and challenges with using kind of some of our technologies as well as containers in general. So you should definitely join us, and we can talk to you there. All right.
Absolutely.
As I always do, this is actually I keep thinking it's episode 25, but it's actually episode 24. And so we're going to talk about OpenShift / Kubernetes tools available everywhere via Quay. And then I always do show notes about each show. So please, check them out if you want to see what happened in the last show, or you want to kind of read about it, or you want to go see a link to it. And remember we do the sweet internet points. And so you can always get those points by going and seeing past episodes and submitting the codes again. They kind of last forever. And that way, when we get to the rankings in a few minutes, you could appear on those rankings. And we've actually had a little bit of a mix-up today.
You did a mix-up?
No, like as in the standings are mixed up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like they've changed.
That sounded like you made a mistake for a second. I was like, whoa, wait.
No,
you didn't mess up the points, did you?
Not this time. I've done that before. But no, my almost complete automation has gotten pretty good. So it's pretty accurate now.
Is it highly available? Is it redundant?
No. At least the code is backed up to GitHub. But it's a shell script now that I can just run. It actually builds a container that then it goes and gets pulls down the Google Sheet, and then it pulls the Google Sheet together and moves the content around and cleans it up, and then inserts certain codes that are done automatically, and then it calculates them all, and then it spits out a spreadsheet with the final result. So yeah, it's actually pretty slick. I mean,
that sounds
ugly,
slick,
but
right? Like you should probably just do that as a show one time.
Oh, I could
be honest with you.
Yeah. That's not a terrible idea. Yeah, basically the containerized part of it is entirely the same problem as I'm talking about today, which is that I didn't want to have to install all of the Google API connection-y stuff.
Makes sense, yeah.
On any machine I wanted to run the thing on, because all I need to do, like literally, it's go to this spreadsheet and download a page of the spreadsheet, and that doesn't seem like full install requirement there. So that's our slides, and it's nice to see everybody. So to talk about this stuff, let me just switch kind of directories here, and try to remember where I put it and why I keep getting connection reset by peer is always a reassuring
that's
flag.
good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big fan. I had everything like all nicely prepared and stuff, and now it's just.
Did I blow up your morning?
I don't know what happened.
Just let folks know, like we've been having to get pictures of ourselves.
You're right.
Various promotion purposes, so we have to like you turn off your screen, I take pictures.
Right, right.
Langdon turns off his, it's weird. So like, anyways, it's, behind the scenes, we're doing stuff before the show, for the show. It's weird. Yeah.
Right,
So,
right. All right.
Langdon being messy is kind of my fault. Sorry.
Perhaps. Okay. So let's see. Let me share this thing. So as y'all probably remember, I am a fan of VS Code.
Yes.
So this is VS Code. And what I want to give it a second and just, let me know if the font's not big enough, kind of thing.
Yeah, chime in, folks. I can see it fine, but if you can't, let me know.
Yeah, okay, cool. So what I was trying to accomplish. So here's the problem I was trying to solve. So actually, you know what? Let me change this and share the whole screen because I think that would be clearer.
So Narindev has a question that I think you asked me about this week.
Okay.
How do you get the OC CLI for Windows? Was that you that was asking me?
No, I don't think that was me.
Okay, never mind.
But it is a Go binary, so it should just work, quote unquote.
There should be a client download somewhere. Let's see.
Well, that's actually one of the challenges I was dealing with, so we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, cool. So there you go.
So in particular, okay, so assuming y'all can still see this, so one of the things that I find kind of annoying is that I find getting the download for OC challenging because it's like it's meant to be easier, I think, but I don't find it that way, which is that the OC download is actually embedded directly in your OpenShift installation. So if you log into OpenShift, you can in the top right corner there's a little question mark, and then you can download the client tools. It'll also give you the command that you run from the command line to connect to it. The thing is that a lot of it, like I don't necessarily always want to go that route, particularly if I'm using something like CRC or whatever. I'll have a bunch of different copies of it, so I just want that CRC. And for some reason my Google food just completely fails me on trying to find it every time. So I finally tracked down the path to it on the public interwebs, and if you notice here, the OC client, am I already in Linux? I was pretty sure because.
So I will say your screen is incredibly small right now.
Oh, is it?
So, yeah. You might want to just maximize that window. Yeah.
How's that, better?
Yeah, sure.
So
I mean, I can read it now, so that's better. Yeah.
Here is where you find the Windows, the Mac, the Linux,
all the architectures. Yeah.
What is S390?
You don't know what that's like?
I do know. That's old Mac.
Not old Mac. To think. That's old. I forget. That's old something.
I know. I'm totally blanking, but whatever. So
Power, I think. Power something.
No, that's the
PPC. Yeah. Never mind.
So
I don't know what the hell.
Little endian, no less. And that's a real throwback to computer science if you aren't aware of that. Okay. Long story short. Nicely, there is a latest and latest deprecated. So those are just symlinks back to 4.6 and 4.5, these two directories, which are in turn symlinks to whatever is latest, right? So we don't have to keep track of this long number to keep track of which one we want. We can just get latest and latest deprecated. And so what we do, okay, so the problem I had, right? So now I want OC, but I don't necessarily, so I want to do a couple things. One, I don't want to have to install it everywhere I want to use it because of a couple things. What if I want to switch OpenShift server versions, right? So so what I want to do is
4.5 to 4.6 or 3.11 to 4.5, whatever, yeah.
And so the original path I had taken, which let's see if I have, I don't know if it was on this computer, if it was on a different one. But so there is, oh yes, it is. So in Linux, and I presume Mac as well, I don't know, but there's not really a good way to do this in Windows. what I did was I used what's called the alternatives infrastructure, which sometimes people know in kind of the shorthand of just update alternatives, because that's the command you use, which basically let me do this slightly differently just so that it's a little more legible. So in Etsy alternatives, it creates a symlink to the version of the tool, whatever it is that you might want. The problem is that the alternatives tool chain, I think, is kind of clunky and somewhat difficult to use. So I tend to shy away from it because to like set it up and keep track of it is kind of a pain. So you can do, I think I might need to be sudo though. Alternatives.
Spelling's optional. There's a tab bar.
Exactly. It's not show, it's display. That's what I was looking for. So if you see here, you actually can have, and so what I did was I set up multiple versions as the alternatives infrastructure, and you can see here I actually gave them a priority of the version they are, just as a way to keep track of it. But normally I think it chooses highest. I can never remember whether it's highest or lowest. But yeah, I think it chooses highest number by default. So you can go and kind of configure it. This is a pain because it's hard to set up. It's hard to maintain.
I was about to say, like, this sounds awful.
Yeah. But I mean, it does work quite well. It's just like it's
the setup is painful. Yeah.
So you have to like, I don't know. It's so whatever. This is the way you're supposed to do it traditionally on Linux. I was kind of like, meh, this is not really happening for me. The secondary problem I have too is that 9 times out of 10 on any OpenShift cluster I'm working with, I am also admin. So what I often want to have is actually 2 commands. I want to have OC. I don't have the aliases set up yet, but I want to have something like OC devel and something like OC admin with 2 different configurations, so I can have them both logged in at once, but using them alternately, so that because I need to do create an operator, for example, using the admin account, but then I want to like implement it using the devel account, right?
That's actually a really, really like great way for admins to do things.
It's almost like we have a command
like that privilege separation. I would, like there's some, I appreciate that. Let's just put it like that, right? Like, well, I appreciate how you separated privilege out for yourself, because, if you install something as a cluster admin, it gets the same, unless you specify otherwise. It has that same level of permission unless you specify otherwise. So doing it as a devel logged in user, boom.
Right. And it also, and me, that's actually why I try not to have, so this, like I said, this is kind of an in progress activity. That's why I still have OC at all. But normally what I would do is actually, I want to remove the OC command altogether, so that if I type OC and hit enter, it will fail. So that I have to say, OC devel or OC admin, and think about which account I'm using. So as I kind of jokingly, while you were saying that, typed on the screen, much like sudo, right? I do everything as non-root on my computer unless I actively have to which I do sudo. So yeah, it's kind of the same with SE Linux. Like with SE Linux, I leave set and force on all the time unless I run into a problem that I think is SE Linux. Then I turn it off, see if I can make it work.
See if it works, yeah.
Then figure out what it is that, assuming it was SE Linux, which half the time it's actually the firewall.
It's one or the other.
It's one or the other always. Which helps a lot. And Christian, no, it is 100% sudo, even though it's really sudo. But
it to me, it's contextual, Christian. So it depends kind of how I'm using it in the sentence, whether I say it's sudo or sudo. Yeah.
Oh, sudo. Oh, see, I will say sudo, or I will say sudo, because really what it is
so you're old
do
school
command as super user.
Right.
But whatever.
I remember the days before sudo. I don't want to go back there.
Yeah, that was actually one of my big weird moves, because I originally was an Ubuntu Linux person, and before that Slackware.
Wow.
And when I came to Red Hat land, I was like, wait, you want me to log in as root every time I want to do anything that requires privilege? Like, where's sudo? Yeah, I was really like, what? So yeah, okay. Back to regularly scheduled programming.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do? Okay, so first and foremost, one of the things I don't think we've talked about is that there is a UBI 8 minimal
Yes.
that is like
Nothing.
100 megs, give or take.
Yeah. It doesn't use DNF. It uses micro DNF. We've talked about that before. Yeah.
Oh, we have. Okay, I couldn't
Yeah.
remember. So yeah, so I have micro DNF commands in here. I need a very minimal amount of kind of libraries, because I think, or every tool that I'm aware of in the Kubernetes world, or ecosystem, whatever, is built in Go or in some other statically linked language. So, maybe there's some Rust stuff out there, but it doesn't use shared libraries, which is another horrifying aspect of kind of moving in the containerized world. But at least I can have all these non-shared libraries bundled inside a container. So it also improves the security of my computer, because now, let's say, Helm it has a bundled library of SSL, and it's compromised because they didn't update it recently enough. And instead of using the shared library model, which Linux has now been relying on for 20 years, it'll at least be encapsulated inside this container, and it will not break stuff for me, theoretically. Okay, so what I wanted to go through a little bit here was like how I go about making this thing. And so the first and foremost is that if you notice, it's mildly inconvenient, because I need to go and grab the tool I'm looking for, but then I actually want to log into the container and find out what it is. So I will actually often do something more like podman run it. Let's just do an RM, and then UBI 8 minimal. Actually, sorry, I'm just thinking. Let's actually make this so that we can make this thing so we only have to do it once. So we can say podman build T, let's call it minimal tar. And cool. So now I can say, looks like I already had that. So I can say podman run it rm minimal tar bin bash. All right. And then I can go grab the file, because what I want to do is I need to explode the thing, right? So that I know, actually let's move to just op or top. That's going to be annoying.
There's no top in minimal.
There's no directory in called top to my awareness. Okay. So I just moved the file name. It's gonna, anyway, that's why I just downloaded it again. All right, so now I can do tar xf, and to be really old school about it, we don't need the dash in tar, so that
there you go.
But so what I want to know is, okay, this is weirdly named Helm Linux AMD 64, right? So what I do in my container file is, okay, so I remember that piece, and then let me just remove these, so a little easier to read. But so, okay, so I know what the file is called. Maybe I make a note to myself, but then I just kind of put it into the op directory so that it's kind of in the right place. And I've been putting it in subdirectories just in case there's like naming collisions on any of the tool chain or anything.
Good idea. Yeah.
And then what I do is I actually made this launcher shell script, which I don't know that I've ever used a case statement in shell, but you can, and you can pass parameters to it.
Yep.
So what I do is I give it a convenient name for myself, right? And then I kind of figure out the path to where it actually goes. As you can tell, I actually did OC first, right? And then I went and did Helm. And then I was fooling around with this other tool called Template to Helm, which
I gotta look
was
at
working
that one.
okay, but I haven't gotten it totally working yet.
Okay.
But I kind of wanted to go through this to kind of say, okay, so now we have remove line comments. Okay, so basically I kind of just do the same thing for the OC, and then I do the same thing for the template to Helm. This one, weirdly, also I need to use bunzip because that's the format that it's compressed in. It's not a tarball. So of course I have to go up here and make sure it's installed. And then I just kind of add my launcher file, and then the important parts are I make a work dir directory, and we'll talk about this more in a second, but I make a work dir directory, and then I also expose, and as we've talked about before, these volume commands are really just kind of remarks.
Right.
They don't do anything except tell the consumer of your container, hey, you should attach something to these points, right? And then I want to also make special note, because this is an application container, I use an entry point, not a command. And the reason is because what entry point will do it will actually pass what happens after the like podman run command to the inside of the container, whereas CMD will not. So it's very, very important that you do this with entry point, and invariably I do the wrong one first. And so, just if you're not getting variables, that's because, or you're not getting parameters, really, you're not, right. This is why. So there's that container file. So what I think we should just do quickly is we can build this. If I save it, that would also help.
Kind of important.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, file to disk. Thanks.
Let's say, let's just call this, I don't know, how about OS tools?
Yeah, call it OS tools. Just call it OS tools. There you go.
So I've conveniently done this before, so it goes pretty quick.
Caching.
Yes, exactly. But even so, it's pretty fast. Now, keep in mind that because of caching, it will, you're not going to get updates on this at all, which this is where this kind of tool chain gets a little tricky. Do you want updates? Do you want hard copies locally? I just want to pull them off the internet because I don't want to have to carry around these massive binaries. Sorry, but if you notice, yeah, it took me a long time to drink that sip of coffee.
Yeah, sorry.
So it's not gonna go look at latest again on my second build. So what I usually do, and I freely admit I stole this idea from Tomasz Tomacek, who, if you've never seen him speak, you should definitely see him speak. If you ever meet him in person, be aware that he's like 7 foot something.
300, yeah.
Yeah, he's amazingly tall. But
when
so
I look up at people, I know they're tall.
Right, exactly. So I always use a make file, since, like I said, I kind of learned it from him. To do my builds. That way I can kind of remember, kind of the name of the thing that I'm building, and, all that kind of stuff. Although I was like, where did image name go? So, it looks like I used a slightly different name. So, but if you notice, I have both a build and a build force. And the reason I throw Podman in front of this is, I can't remember why, but I ran into some conflict with build, like the word build. And so I started scoping it by putting Podman, because like some make file I had, I needed actual build 2 or something like that. So I started scoping them. So your mileage may vary, do whatever you like, but that's just why I have Podman Dash in front of it. So the nice thing is now you can do a build force, which will dump the cache and rebuild it. We're not going to do that right now because time, right? So, but
I appreciate the make file though, right? Like you can do so much with a make file, and it's really impressive how useful they still are. Because I remember them being like really complex things back in the day, and now they're just like you can do a lot with this.
And I could probably do better, to be clear.
Everyone can, right?
My make files aren't great.
Unless you wrote that one book on make files that I read a few years ago.
yeah, exactly. So let's see. So what I want to do though is okay, so that's the make file that does the building, etc. And then and then because it has the launcher in there, it will just kind of do what we want it to do. So now I can we can actually get a hint by doing make help.
Nice.
And we'll talk about the other stuff that's going on here in a second. But so now if I just do a run, I have a bug. Line 20.
Unary operator expected. What did you not escape something correctly
or use the wrong not sign?
Yeah.
Well,
that's fun.
Yeah, we're not going to debug that now because it's not actually affecting operation, so I don't care.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
So the point is that in my case, I also have if I pass help or I pass anything else, it will print all the things that are available. Because obviously the problem with doing a container tool like this container, right, is like you don't know what's actually been set up. Right. So we want to say, okay, hey, this is kind of what's available. So now if I do OC, I can say status and give it a while.
So quick question for you. Did you already upload the source code?
Yeah, it is actually, let me, I don't know why this thing is so long. I think it's because my OC is actually connected to an OpenShift server that is currently off. And so it's waiting for timeouts, which is annoying.
That is annoying.
There it is. Okay, so yeah, git remote -v. Yeah, so what I did was I actually made it just its own repo.
I found it. Yeah,
oh, you did? Oh, smart. Yeah. Because this is actually kind of useful to me.
Yes.
So it's not buried under one of the episodes.
Right.
Yeah, so I just kind of made it a real thing. So, feel free to contribute, whatever you want to it. But that's kind of where it is right now. And I think everything is pushed. Yeah.
All right.
So,
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the launcher. What I wanted to do was is why don't we add the odo command? By way of a practical example, which is also in kind of the same place. Obviously, it's going to get a little bit more sophisticated if we want to do something that's not in this nice mirrors OpenShift site, like the template to Helm, but it's not that much more complicated, right? So we're going to stick with using latest. And if you notice, one of the things I wanted to point out was my make file. I am explicitly, let me show you over here. I'm explicitly tagging this as latest. And the reason is because the earlier problem that I discussed, which is I want to be able to have multiple versions of, OC or whatever available based on the server side, or based on my own intelligence. Like, somebody says, oh, I tried my 4.5 client against a 4.6. I still want to be able to test that. So with latest, I have the latest, but then when we talk about Quay in a few minutes, we can talk about how we can do this with different branches and do something slightly more sophisticated. But long story short, okay, so we will go And where is the right one? I don't want Windows. Where's, oh, AMD 64, sorry. Okay, so I have no idea what this thing is going to pop open to. So we're going to do the same trick we did before. And CD opt so that we do it correctly the first time. So I assume because it's called mirror.openshift.com, it's actually a mirror. That's why I'm making sure to pass the -L, which will follow the redirects. But I really have no idea if it is or not. So just FYI. Okay, so Odo is going to pop open and be just Odo. So that's pretty easy. So then we just drop into our container file. Actually, let's clone this one because it'll be more similar. And then, so we're first going to make let's call it an Odo directory. I don't know if I should have probably called the OpenShift one OC, not OpenShift. Let me change the URL. We are going, apparently I forgot that I have cut and pasted. We know how that goes on this show.
So there's a question in chat. What is KMS 38? And I think that's a Windows thing. So I really don't know. But like
Googling
here? Yeah, somewhere somebody saw it. KMS 38. But anyways, KMS 38 is basically a renamed and modified version of the original KMS solution designed to activate the problematic Windows versions such as LTSB, LTSC. I've never encountered it before, so
no. And I was a Windows programmer for a long time, and I've never heard of it before. So
yeah, me either. So I don't know what the application for that is, but I'm guessing it's something useful for licensing of Windows. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, could be. Yeah, the K always makes me think kernel. Windows Activation Toolkit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. It might have to do with activation, or like the kernel. But I don't know much else about it.
Yeah, that's it. I don't work on many Windows boxes anymore. No offense.
Correct.
Apparently there was like people had a hard time with Windows 10 activations, and this was a solution, I guess.
Oh, activations have actually been hard for a long time.
Yeah.
And actually we were talking about this with Christian the other day. Like automating the creation of virtual machines using Windows is quite challenging.
Painful, yes.
Yeah. Like you have to do this whole sysprep thing, and you have to if you kind of have a doc or something of all the steps that are required, it's not hard. It's that the set of steps is kind of weird. And so if you don't have that doc, it's like very odd, because it doesn't occur to you that there's basically this code that's generated based on the hardware that's installed, and that's what it uses to basically set up the hardware. And so if you're doing a virtual machine, it'll be different than the original one. That's why it's like super complicated because of that. So like I said, it's not hard if you had a nice doc that said step 1, step 2, step 3, but usually that doc is hard to find. So
I like the digital sleuthing that we're doing here in chat, folks. This is amazing. So the 38 actually stands for 2038, which means KMS 38 activates Windows 10 or Windows Server until 2038, and then online KMS is for 180 days, and then if you actually have a digital license, it's permanent. So so like those, remember that
key management service?
Yeah, remember the AWS bill I got because of the Windows version that was activated with all the tools installed that got downloaded so many times. Yeah. Like, so that KMS service, I was actually interfacing with it, not even knowing it.
Huh.
So yeah, interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So now we just need to set up Odo. Excuse me, in the same way we've been doing. Except it's not. Oh, no, it is Odo. And then we need to add it to our list of available commands. And then that should be it. Assuming I saved everything.
Assumptions.
Exactly. All right. So now we're going to build it. Obviously, we're going to have less caching. But I did try to order it so that the caching would be advantageous for the most part. And there we go. Now, if we run it again, we should be able to do Odo. Odo is not a supported command. Apparently, it did not.
It's not in the path, or is it?
No, it is. It didn't find my text. Did it not actually update launcher? Should have.
Looked like it did. It ran something.
Yeah. Let's do IT. Okay, so the other thing, I think I've brought this up before, but if you use an entry point, getting into the container is a little bit more of a headache. So you have to,
especially when you can't type entry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't start. So let's see. So it is not there. Look at that. That's annoying. Let's try. Here's one trick.
You have more than one trick. You're a good pony.
Exactly. Let's see if it got it this time. There's another ugly trick that I will try if this doesn't work, which is basically I don't know why I want that to be in an Etsy. It did not work. So there's another terrible trick that should.
I like your terrible tricks.
Yes, exactly. I just want to make sure, am I in the right place? Like, am I building the right container?
Ladies and gentlemen, Langdon has confused himself.
Well, I took this from exactly the same place before, so.
It's there.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the file?
Let's just cat it.
Okay, yep. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So it's definitely got the right file. So let me see. How do you do this again? I haven't had to do this in a long time. Let's see. It's run echo date. Or you can just run date, I think, too, will work. But basically what that does is it breaks the cache. And it always breaks the cache, right? Because the time is always different.
Right.
So it should have gotten the right launcher file that time. Because I don't, like, seriously, why Etsy every time? It is just not picking it up.
That's really weird, dude.
It is very odd. Let's
run.
Try uglier tricks. That's going to break if I leave that. Oops.
See, folks, we're experts, and even the experts get caught up in craziness. So, or we're supposedly experts, so I've been told.
Did it again.
Okay, well, that's fun.
Now I got no file at all.
Oh, even better.
Oh, no, I got launcher again.
Okay.
Okay, now it looks like maybe the container file is wrong.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me.
No? What is going on? Let's be explicit.
Like, even I'm lost at this point.
Nope, I'm an idiot.
Okay.
It's because it is OS Tools.
OS Tools.
I think.
That's right. Yes, you did call it OS Tools.
It's because I didn't use my stupid make. Oh, yeah. Boy.
Oh, now you're, oh, boy. Make build what? Podman build. Yeah, there you go.
And then let me fix this before I forget.
What'd you call it before? Client tools?
OS clients.
Oh. Well, that doesn't.
Which is also logical,
but
it's logically slightly different.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was stupid.
Naming and tags matter.
Right.
It's also hard. Naming is hard. And then you have to name something and then tag it appropriately, which makes it twice as hard. That's my screen. I'm sticking to it. Now what?
Exactly.
What broke?
Nothing. It was just namespacing. It's
okay.
one thing I don't really love about Podman that maybe it'll be better in V3. The namespacing is like a little aggressive. Like I kind of understand it, but it's if you're coming from Docker, it can be a little weird.
Well, yeah. I mean, Podman's not complete.
Right.
The RenDev says label engineering could be a new thing.
Exactly. I think they call that information architecture.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see why this is still angry with me. Let's try that. Except
I believe in you.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, so now it should have the right one. Yep.
There we go.
And so now if we do this, we should be able to get, oh no, nope, not if we spell it wrong. But it does helpfully tell us that we're stupid. So yeah, see, I like help in my shell scripts.
Yes.
I make far too many mistakes. And then the last thing I want to just kind of point out is just I also included in the Git repo kind of usage aliases. So what I would keep adding to that is so that now I can just type OC on the command line if I source that usage aliases file. But we're not going to play with that anymore because the thing I wanted to show was distribution. So we have our nice little set of tools. Now we want to distribute it. And, Chris, you might be aware of this, but I couldn't find anybody who had this thing. So this was the only kind of OpenShift tool set in a container.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I thought maybe it'd be useful. So hopefully it is. And we're going to sign into Quay. And then, so what I did previously was I actually made an organization in Quay. Can
you enlarge the font, please?
Yeah, except this font you don't want to read anyway.
Yeah. So this font,
I really want to file a bug about getting why does this not have an X? Why is there not some, go away. Okay. So is that font okay, or should I make that bigger? I should make that bigger.
Yeah, you should make that a little
How's that?
Bigger.
Good?
Go like 2 more.
2 more.
There you go. Well, that's one too many, maybe. I don't know. I can read it well, though, so I'm happy about it.
Exactly. All right. So now, to not make the stupid mistakes we did before, let's use the terminology we did in here. And so I'm going to make a new repository. I'm going to make it public. And I'm going to link it to a GitHub repository push.
Mm-hmm.
And click the button. Go away.
Log into GitHub.
Go away. Yeah. I still have to turn that stupid thing off.
It's in preferences. It's like the first thing I turn off in Firefox.
I know. We talked about it last time, and I still haven't done it. Yeah. Okay, so then I select this org that I am attached to or own or whatever you want to call it. And now I have to pick the repo that I actually want to mess with. Oh, you know what? Git status, git add container file launcher, git commit.
Actually, I might.
Oh, I should have waited till after. Well, no, it should trigger for the first one, right? Okay, so this is important here, which is trigger for all branches and tags default. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to trigger for all the branches and the tags. And the reason is because branches is how we're going to deal with the multiple versions problem. So we are going to, if on the default branch, which is now main, it's going to give it the latest tag, which is exactly what we want. So that's awesome. And then we're going to hit the big old continue button. And then we select the...
Should just be in the root path.
Yep.
But yeah, you didn't call it.
You still have to Well, and I don't even know, will it pick up Docker file automatically?
Yes, it will.
It will? Okay.
If you put just /, it'll just look for all the files, and if it matches on one that it knows it can build, it'll just build it. Yeah.
So
I don't know if container file would work. I am curious if the Quay people have put that in.
Yeah, I don't know either. I haven't experimented with it because I'd rather just be explicit. So, and then we just want the, / as the context. We have no robots, which is sad.
No robots.
And then we're going to build this. And so it added this to be able to access it. Yay. And then now here's the problem with being super fonted. Let's take a look.
That's a good one.
I don't know. Did it actually start a build? I can't tell. It's really not liking a different font size. Give me 1 second. Let me see if it made sure it started a build. It did not start a build.
You have to commit to the repo. Did you do it?
Yeah, so you do. I wasn't sure if when you first created it, it automatically started a build.
I don't think it does.
Yeah. And
I think that's for like safety reasons or whatever. If you like say, I will eventually be pushing stuff into here, like you create a brand new repo and you just do everything in Quay first.
Right.
You might, then
inadvertently build it.
Push when I'm ready for you to build.
So what we could do is we can fix our usage aliases, which would give us something to push. So Odo, and then wait. Oh, this is the wrong. I copied this from originally. I had called the whole thing launcher. I think I just didn't update my usage aliases there. All right, it should be cooking away already. It is because I forced a build. And let's see, it shouldn't take very long. One thing I will point out that I ran into that was weird is that if I just did UBI8 minimal, it didn't work. It wouldn't find it. And on further investigation, I discovered that there is this thing that is, where did it go?
Are you on your system or?
It was. I'm trying to figure out how I discovered it. Oh, wait, we got the error, I think, that helped me find it the other day. Unqualified, where'd it go?
Etsy containers registries.
So there's this short name thing.
Oh.
And where did it go?
Short name thing.
So basically, there's a lookup table, and I found it, and I thought, did I make a note of it? I might have. Let me see if I just wrote it down, which I should have, but I can't remember if I did or not. No. So there is a lookup table in a Podman install that says, this this thing should be resolved to, let's say registry.redhat.io. And so that's how it got UBI8 minimal, was by using that lookup table. But now I'm not seeing it. And I thought it was right in like Etsy containers. Let's try.
Should be.
Oh, there it is. Short names.
Short names. Yeah, there you go.
I knew it was somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so if you look in here, this is really like, I've never seen this before. So I think it must be really new. But so
you increase the size.
Oh, yep.
Font size again. Yeah. Thank you.
And then let me just make this a little bit less big. But yeah, so it just basically has these short names in here, and then kind of expansions, which is kind of neat, but really annoying in that when I tried to build it locally, it worked just fine because of this entry. But then when I tried to put it in Quay, it didn't work. because it doesn't have this short name lookup. So keep in mind that you do probably have this kind of short name lookup thing, and your mileage may vary. Like I said, I just thought it was kind of interesting, but also somewhat annoying. All right, so yeah, this does not like being big. Long story short, I promise this says green and that we got a build and now it's happy. And then what we can do is, and we're probably out of time for this, but what we can do is we can say git, actually, let me just see, did I leave anything? Yes, git add usage aliases, git commit -m. Now I can say git checkout -b, and let's call it deprecate. This is a word I can never spell.
RE.
It's RE, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody has those words.
Right. Okay. So now I'm on a different branch, right? So if I go to my container file and switch to.
By the way, this is illegible, but
while
you're doing it, yeah.
There we go. How's that better?
Oh, smidge.
All right. So long story short, I'm just
fun.
Yeah, I'm just adding the deprecated word because if we go back over here, we'll see that not there. Actually, they don't have a deprecated.
Not Nodo.
No. Not Nodo.
An OC. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to load. So just to check the spelling and naming,
just hit the end button.
I know. I realized that halfway through, and I was like, I'm committed. I'm paging. So for Helm and OC, we can get a latest deprecated, and that would be lovely. I'm just gonna hope that it's gonna give us the same exact expansions. Like, so if I, if I untar that OC file, it's gonna work. It's gonna be right, and then I'm gonna change this to be deprecated. I don't know why I can't spell that word. And then this should be a variable. Oh boy. Wow. Oh, actually, that's.
You need to have like a. You know how in Anchorman, how Ron Burgundy warms up. You need to do that with like your hands first thing. Right?
Perhaps. I know. I'm not sure it would help.
New York. New York.
Yeah. I am a terrible typist at the best of times, so I'm not sure it would help that much.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
So, all right. That I think is all correct. And we'll go back to our terminal and just say git status, git add container file, make file, git commit. Oh boy. Wow. Yeah.
You definitely need like GC, those kinds of things, like aliases. Right.
Part of it is the on-air demo problem, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's not entirely that. So I do that every time because I can never remember what this command is going to be, or like it's really long.
Yeah.
Whatever. So now in theory,
there should be a build happening.
Exactly.
In theory.
Just want to make sure this didn't like error or anything. Okay,
no, that's fine.
Happening.
Yeah.
And look at that.
Hey, it's building.
Sweet.
God,
something actually worked.
Yeah. So with 3 minutes left to spare, no less.
Maybe while that cooks, we should talk about internet points.
We should talk about internet points. And then we should definitely go back and show people how this does container scanning, like at rest.
Oh, right. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about internet points. If you are unfamiliar, we like to hand out our sweet internet points every week. and we've had some pretty crazy fluctuation here.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So Narendev has actually taken the lead over
Good job, Narendev.
Netherlands Hackem, which is both crazy and crazier. And we're definitely, I mean, we're getting a lot of points here. Our detective has continued to show up and has started to tick up. Bacon Fork, however, we have seen them before, but they have kind of really started to come out of the woodwork, and they're ramping up on their points as well.
Bacon Fork actually called out for points in chat, so yeah.
Yes, I saw that. So we're pretty excited that there will be that we're getting some other contenders starting to get into the play.
Oh yeah.
And I will. Can I? Is there any way I can actually cut and paste this? No.
Not out of present view, if that's what you're.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if I have it somewhere. I will cut and paste it into the chat in 1 second. What was I going to say? Oh, and again, so close to being able to give out other prizes aside from the pure intrinsic value of Sweet Internet points.
It's not just points anymore, folks.
We are very, very
getting close. Yeah.
Basically, we're backed up a little bit on legal. And
is it legal or supply? I thought it was supply.
No, legal okay. At this point. Supply is there.
Okay.
Legal is not quite there. And like as much as I would like them to be there,
it's not one of those things.
We could double our legal department, and they would still be crazy busy all the time.
Yeah. Because of people
constant,
like me. Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, so the problem with doing open source, right, is that we get sued all the time. So it's I would say large corporations get sued pretty regularly anyway, but I have this paranoid feeler that this is the wrong code. Let me just check and make sure, because I feel like I updated
now that you've dropped it in chat.
Well, right. I want to make sure it's confusing as possible.
Yeah.
That's how we separate the real point getters from. Let me just. So this is episode 24, correct?
Yes.
All right, 4727. Yes, it is correct. All
okay,
right,
cool.
Sweet. Sweet internet points even.
Indeed.
All right, so what I wanted to show real quick. Oh, so awesome. Congratulations to everyone who's collected points. I really hope we're going to be able to do giveaways off those points very, very soon. And we got an error in our build. That's
did you typo something?
Probably.
And Hackem verifies that the code is unique, meaning he has more points now. Yeah.
Did they change the name of it or something?
Error not recoverable. Like I'm trying to read it. gzip.
Yeah, it's like
does the container not have gzip?
It does.
Okay.
No, I think I wonder if they changed the name. Oh, does Helm not have it deprecated? Oh, Helm doesn't have it deprecated. I made a mistake.
It's only OC. Remember I said that?
Yeah. I was thinking that Helm and OC were actually in the same file. So
So I dropped a link to the calendar because a new viewer, Sean, thank you for watching, asked when the next stream is. So you can go to that calendar and actually subscribe to it in your own calendar by clicking the plus sign. Or you can look on the OpenShift YouTube page, which our archives are there. Whoop, type that in the wrong window. So yeah, you go to the, oh, really?
You can see the calendar here, or you can see it where it's on OpenShift.tv too, right?
Yeah, it's on OpenShift.tv, and if you go to the YouTube page, you can kind of see what's up on the schedule for today, right? Like,
okay,
I
see.
I put the events every day, every morning on the YouTube schedule so that people can see what's coming up today.
Gotcha. For lack of inception, I'm not going to follow that page. We also have the Level Up Hour page.
Yes, which I dropped a link to earlier, but I will double drop it just because.
But that's where you can find out more about. So this show is actually part of a
larger program. Yes.
Larger program. Did I type that wrong?
You could just click the link in chat.
I think I'm going to, because clearly my typing is
as
always
my link
high
in
quality.
Chat is dead.
That's what I'm afraid of.
No, it's not.
No,
it's redirected.
Not. It's just me. So the wider program is the Level Up program, and so you can learn more about that on this site. One thing we did want to talk about was Dan Walsh will be here on our next episode. Yes, the Dan Walsh, Mr. SE Linux, apparently, as it says in his Twitter profile, which I didn't realize. And look at that, our build worked.
Hey, there you go. Look at that. It's amazing what happens when you spell things right.
Yes, exactly. And so Dan Walsh is going to be here next week. We are going to talk about SE Linux and containers and kind of security in containers. We are also going to talk a little bit probably about DevConf CZ because I have a talk. He, I think, has at least one talk. So, and it is virtual, so everybody can go, and it should
drop
be
a link
fun.
to that real quick.
DevConf.cz. And then we have a bunch of other shows like already lined up that should be really interesting. In a few weeks, I think we have Chris Wright. We also have
flip to the tags page. And sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no worries. Yes.
There you go.
Oh, and you want to talk about
the scanning. Yeah.
So that is currently queued for the one we just built.
Our previous ones have been scanned.
Yes, and I was looking for the like. So basically, it passed, but I want to know where's the what passed. Okay, so it actually scans for vulnerabilities of your actual container, and so that's pretty exciting because you can actually. So what happens, right, is over time they get pretty crufty. This is what I was really looking for.
There you go.
And so this is telling us exactly all of the packages that were actually put into the container and the current status of all of those packages. Right. So because we are so dependent on the ecosystem for creating our container, we need all of our friends that we're dependent on to also be current. So when I say UBI 8 minimal, right, I'm picking up a whole mess of packages from there that may or may not have security vulnerabilities, right? So, and then I also, whenever I do micro DNF or yum install or whatever, I'm going to pick up libraries from the UBI 8 repos, which also may have security vulnerabilities. Right. Hopefully Red Hat will be keeping up with it, or wherever I'm getting them from is keeping up with it. But what this does is it assures you that, in fact, it is, in good standing. The only thing to keep in mind is, to the best of my knowledge, right, this can't scan something like our Go binaries.
Right, like that. It's not going to dive into the code. Yeah.
Right. So you still need to be responsible for anything that you put in the container from outside of a general package manager. And this is one of the things I think people forget a lot about containers, or if you really want to get crazy, like unikernels or things like that. The value to a package managed ecosystem is not just convenience. It's also that it's a well-known set of things that can then have independent tools verify what they are, right? So when I drop OC on disk that isn't coming from a package manager, there's no way that any outside third-party tool like this security scanner can know whether it has any vulnerabilities or not. So keep in mind that the package manager is bringing a lot more to the table than just, like I said, convenience. It's also making it so that third-party tools. It could be security scanners. It could be like performance scanning. It could be like lots of different things that you can do to identify pieces of your software. It's very, very hard to do that as a third party if you don't know what's there. So keep that in mind every time somebody says to you, why would I package this as an RPM? This is some of the reasons, is because it actually puts you into a wider ecosystem that lets other kinds of tools also operate on your tool chain or on your product. All right, so that's about it for our show, I think. The only last quick thing I can show you is that now we can, let me just maximize this so that I can get some real estate back. But now I should be able to just say OS clients.
Tools.
And of course.
OS tools.
No, it's clients.
Is it clients?
I think so. Yeah,
oh,
now we're all confused. Yeah. And get deprecated. Let's see if Quay is going to figure it out. Nope. Got to do full path. So
there's no deprecated Odo.
Yeah, there is.
There is? Oh,
well, there's an Odo in there. I need to think about whether or not OS clients should drop something in the deprecated, But so is there a way I can get a nice, like, what is the actual, here we go.
Here's your URL. Yeah.
Oh, actually, this might have worked. Let me just see if that works. I'm just curious. Nope. Okay, so if we give it the correct path, look at that.
Hey, it's building. Look at that.
And then theoretically, we should be able to get, actually, let's do
nice.
OC version. But I think it's still going to time out, so it's going to take forever. But so exercise for the reader, QED, as I'm sure your most hated professors have used it before, or high school teachers. Exercise for the reader. Go try OS clients latest and deprecated and with an OC version, and you should get 2 different versions, and hopefully that'll work out. But we're going to end the show before anybody comes back and tells us that it's wrong.
Yes. Okay.
So a good plan.
Yeah. So coming up next at 11 Eastern, 5 o'clock Central European time, because that's what my alternate calendar is set to right now. We're going to be talking to Andrew Sullivan on the OpenShift Administrator office hours about controlling your pod resources, right? Like that is like the #1 way to prevent Bitcoin mining from running on your cluster, right? Like make sure your pods don't suck up too many resources. So yeah, like tune in for that at 11 Eastern. And then after that, we'll be talking to the folks at Trilio. They have a great story. Mike Waite will be interviewing them. And then the last show of the day, we'll be talking about management utilities and RHEL. So like I said, that calendar link is very useful today, especially as there are 4 shows today. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Langdon, for teaching us. Dan's show is when?
Next week. So same time, same bat channel, same bat time. So 9 a.m. Eastern, 1400 UTC.
Correct. No, 1500 UTC. No, yes, you're right. Sorry. Duh.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
No.
I have to go back and edit all my tweets.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just looking at the wrong time zone. That's all. So thank you all for watching. Go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing maybe we should file a bug about is why exactly it needs to go and connect to the server to give us the version of the client. But, because that is timing out. But I will point out this is 4.5, and I believe latest is 4.6.
Yes.
So that's pretty exciting. Yeah. So, look, it finished. So 4.6 right here. Yeah. And look, so we actually did what we proposed to do.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all. See you next time. And please stay safe out there, folks. Right? Like we want you to come back.
Get your vaccines.
Yeah, when you're due. Don't shove your way forward in line. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.